All right, let's take a look where we are. So next part we're going to work on is part 5, the wheel. And okay, so the wheel is tricky. It's on 2 different views or 2 different drawings, I suppose technically 3. And one of the reasons why it's tricky is it requires a lot of inferring dimensions. I don't know if that's the technical term, but the dimensions we type in or the way our sketches are going to look aren't going to start out like this. Okay, so we are going to do a revolve, which makes sense. It's a radially symmetric object mostly. It's a circle. But instead of having a view, a drawing like the hitch peg where you can see the sketch we're going to make, it's this cross section or section view. It's more like axle peg where we have to do a revolve, but we kind of have to figure out the dimensions we want. The other issue is that, so this is an isometric view, you know, from the top corner, but our first sketch, our sketch that we're going to revolve is this, but we're not going to draw it from this angle. We're going to draw it sort of the same way we did the pegs, where we start with our center axis on the center of the screen and then draw everything to the right and then do our revolve like that. Okay. And something that you may not, even if I gave you that instruction and that path, there's other things that you might not be aware of or figure out until later. Well, first of all, let's go ahead and get a new Art Studio. And let's rename it a wheel. And full screen, use all the pixels. So there are, there's like this main sketch or main thing that's going to be our set sketch for the revolve. But you'll notice that our center axis, which goes right through the center of the wheel, there's no material there. There's no material right away. And that's what makes a hole in the middle. The first material starts, and we don't even have a dimension for that. We would have to figure it out based on the size of the through hole from the back. We would have to make a gap that's half of the diameter before we start drawing. So it's actually going to be easier to ignore the center hole until we actually have the full revolve, and then just make a circle that's centered and cut it out. The other thing we're going to ignore on our first revolve are these 4 fillets, these rounded corners, rounded off edges. Okay, here's one, there's an outside one here, an inside one there, an inside one here, and an outside one there. That sort of round off the sort of hub and wheel situation. And this is their dimension. It's a radius, you know, it's going to a curved surface, 0.0625 typical for all of them. But we could there's 2 ways to do it. There's one is to make it part of the sketch where we have one there, one there, one there, and one there, and then do the revolve. The way we're going to do it is ignore those and just keep it squared off and do the fillet as a part feature, where once there's material, it'll smooth off, because when you do it as a sketch, it gets kind of funky. The revolve doesn't always like it. Okay, so let's figure out what we know. We have if we're starting from the center, we can make one rectangle that's 1 inch by this material right here, which is 0.125. And then another couple rectangles, one here. That is this difference here. And another rectangle here. That is also 0.25. And then just round off the corner, and that will give us our first sketch. Okay. And if you didn't understand that, that's fine. Just follow along. And we're doing a revolve. We're going to look at it straight on. Well, we want to sketch on the face called front. And our first line, well, we can start with that rectangle that will go this way, and let's dimension it. It was, this is just the small part, which it will make more sense in a second. 0.125 this way and 1 this way. And I guess we can probably turn off those origin planes and points since we have something to work with now. And then the other part we're still in sketch one, one rectangle here and one rectangle here. And the inside one, well, the one that's going to be towards the center is going to make the hub of the wheel, and the one towards the outside will end up making sort of the tire or rim of the wheel. And they are actually both the same size, 0.25 this way and 0.125 here. And that's how we get our total of 0.25. Come on, dimension tool. 0.25. And this one also 0.125. And then in order to get the rounded off corner, we just can use a circle. Even though it's an arc, we'll use a circle on the center point first click, and second click is on one of the corners. It turns black, it's fully constrained. And that's our first sketch. We're going to finish the sketch, do a revolve, choose everything we drew. There we go. Choose the axis we want to revolve around, which is one of these center ones. And there we go. That's our main wheel all the way down. In case it wasn't clear, you only need to make this once. Like the entire wheel completed, you only need to make it once, even though we're using 4 in the assembly. I hope that was clear. I have had students in the past make 4 wheels, but you don't need to do that, just in case you were jumping ahead. All right, so we have this part. We have the full thing, and now we just really just need to, well, there's 1 or 2 things to add, but it's mostly cut away. And let's take care of it. Easiest first. Oh, wait, we need to do these rounded off edges. And there's 4 of them. They're all 0.0625. And they are a fillet. And we need to choose the edges. There are 4. This inside one here, or I guess that's an outside one. And let's actually set it so we can see what it looks like. 0.0625. If you do 0.625, it's bigger than the piece and it won't work. Okay, so that let's just do it again. So from fillet tool, we might as well set the dimension 0.0625, and then we'll choose our 4 edges, which one is this right here, one is there, one is there, and the last one is there, and hit OK. Okay, and that's the easiest way to get those rounded off portions. And so we've got a couple other things. We've got the center hole, which is just a circle this big and cut all the way through. We have all of these spokes, which we don't need to draw the spoke. What we need to do is cut out the hole and then we can just pattern it. We only need to do it once. And the last feature is this linkage nub. And we'll do that last. We're actually just adding material there. So let's take care of these in, I would say, easiest to hardest order. And so easiest one is definitely this through hole, which you could put the sketch on the front or the back. I'm going to put it on the back just because there's less lines there. So put a sketch here. We don't get a snap to the center, so let's go ahead and do use. And you can kind of see wherever you click, there's like a little blue dot there. And as long as you click on something that gives you the blue dot, it will give you the black dot to snap to. And simple, we just need a circle from the center out and dimension it to 0.28. And is that what it was? 0.28, sure. And we can finish the sketch. Look at it from a corner, extrude. Oh, it's not a good corner. Extrude, choose just the circle. Nope, won't let me. I won't let me extrude. Yeah, there we go. And switch it to remove, and any distance is fine, but through all is the pro way to do it, and hit OK. There is our axle hole. All right, so next one, we are going to do the spokes, and we're just going to make one of them and pattern it circularly. So all we're interested in is this one shape, and we're going to do it on the back. And the reason we're going to do it on the back is even though they go all the way through, there's a lot more lines on the front to mess up. So we're going to look at it from, well, I guess if you followed me, it would be the face called bottom, but it's, I don't know, the back of the wheel. And the cut we're trying to make is two, not parallel lines, but radii from on the circle, and then two arcs like this. And if you look at the drawing, you can see that the cut is the first sort of radii is off of first radius is off of horizontal, and that's where it goes from there. We could put the cut like right here. The problem is if we cut out there, when we go to make the linkage nub, that's going to be where a gap is and not where a spoke is. So we are going to follow this a little closer. So the shape, we are going to need this first line is from the center out, but we need to start at 15 degrees off of horizontal. So we are going to draw a horizontal line just to dimension to. So we have something to snap to, or snap when we're dimensioning. So first we need to put a new sketch on the back. Okay, we don't have anything to snap to, so let's do a use tool, and it doesn't matter as long as we get a center point. And our first line for dimensioning is going to go from that center point and straight out, and we should get a snap somewhere here. That's fine. And then the next line, we're only going to need like the center portion, but we're going to trim it a few times. So let's just put it out here so it doesn't, any of the snaps don't interfere. Any of the dimensions don't interfere. So let's dimension between first click here, second click there, and that gives us an angle dimension, which this one is only 0.15. No, not 0.15, 1.5. No, wait, 15. There we go. 15. And then we need a second line, which is going to make up this other radial edge that's 30 degrees off of the second one. So we'll get another line from here straight out, dimension the distance from here to here, and that's 30. All right, and the only other edges for our sketch are this arc right here and this arc right here. And the type of arc we're going to need is a center point arc, because if we use a 3-point arc, the 3-point arc isn't going to always be, centered. Like, clearly that's not the right thing to do. So we're going to use a center point arc. So center point arc, first click on the center, and we're just going to try and make this first one look close and then dimension it. So the first one has a radius of 0.375. So just somewhere out here that doesn't snap to a edge or a center mark, just something like there. That's first click, and then second click. And let's dimension this to 0.375. Good. And then we need to do the same thing, except it's 0.625 for the outer arc. And so another center point arc. Okay, make sure you're getting center point arc. Did I lose it already? Center point arc. First click here, second click somewhere out here. Third click on this line. And we need to mention that to 0.625. And there's a chance let me see. We're going to finish sketch and extrude. If it doesn't, it will let us choose that. Great. Sometimes with these extra lines don't let you choose it as a closed loop because of like the way it's clicked. But this is what we're looking for. Then we can switch remove and through all. And hopefully this works. We want a pattern. We want a circular pattern. The entity to pattern is extrusion 2, which you should be able to choose there, or no, it's not choosing that. So extrude 2 is our feature. Why is it not? No, that's not it. Okay. So circular pattern is acting weird. Why won't it entities to pattern? Oh, okay, that's what it is. Feature pattern. Feature to pattern is extrusion 2. Okay, so if you didn't see that, we're going to, well, you probably have linear pattern as the default icon. We want circular pattern. And we're not patterning a part, we're patterning a feature. And the feature we want to pattern is extrusion 2. I don't think you can select it from the part. You got to choose it from the browser bar. And so extrusion 2 and axis of pattern, we could choose, no, we don't get basic axis. Anything that's round. And, oh no, that's still extrusion. We want to, you got to click on axis of pattern to tell it what you want, where you want it to spin around. And that's not it. Axis of pattern. No, that's not it. We need a work axis. Why is this not working? All right, hold on a second. I don't want to do this as a. Why is this not working? Okay, circular pattern. Feature pattern. Features extrusion 2. axis pattern. There we go. Okay, so you just have to, we'll try this again. Okay, circular pattern. Pattern a feature. The feature we want to pattern is extrusion 2, and our axis of pattern is like the inside of this cylinder hole. And we don't want 4 of them, we want 6 of them. And you know they're evenly spaced because the size of the hole and the size of the spoke add up to 60, and there's 6 holes, so they're all evenly spaced. You don't have to change anything except make this 6 and hit OK. Okay, that was both easy and harder than it should have been at the same time. And the last feature is this series of extrusions that make this linkage nub. And so there's one extrusion that is, you can see where these arrows are pointing to. It's important. You could also tell because they are in increasing or decreasing size. The largest portion right here is 0.25 diameter and 0.375 extrusion. Then the tinier nub is 0.125 diameter, 0.125 extrusion. And then the hole, which you know it's a hole because it has a down arrow hole depth situation, has this diameter and that depth. But the key is that they are all centered 0.7 from the center of everything. And that's where we're going to make our first circle and first extrusion that are the biggest ones. So the other thing to notice is that these extrusions, or at least the first one, is measured from, it's measured from the face of the spokes measured out. So that's where we're going to put our sketch so we can have that first extrusion be the correct size. And so let's look at it straight on from top and have it so that when you're looking at it, there's material, there's a spoke here and not a gap. So if you look at it straight, if you followed what I did and chose the planes and axes that I started with, looking at it straight on from top should be fine. And we need to make a sketch on the surface of the spokes. And we want a line, because it's measured from the center, to go center out. And we do get a soft snap there, but let's just go ahead and do use to get a hard snap. And anything that's round or gives you that blue dot in the center will be fine. And we need a line that goes this way. And the problem is there's going to be like weird snaps there. Just make it about this far and dimension it to the size we want, which is 0.7. And if you did it right, it's unfortunate that it does that, but the end of this line actually goes into that first curve. It goes past this face. And when you go to make that first circle, or the circle right now, make sure you get the end of the line and not where it intersects, because it will actually be, it will make the linkage nubs, what we're making, too close together for the linkage arm, actually too far. Either way, the wrong distance when the wheels are rotating. So we just need a circle and find that end point. Okay, not where, like right there, right on the end. And dimension that to the size of our first extrusion, which is 0.25. Finish the sketch, extrude, make sure you get everything. Is it not letting me do? Are you kidding me? There we go. Somewhere where you get everything. Yeah. Okay. So somewhere where you get everything, I had to like find that extra spot there. And the distance of this first extrusion is 0.375. And finish the sketch. Then only 2 more moves. One is the smaller nub. If you find the where it points to is right there is 0.125. And that second portion is extruded 0.125. And that point, the extrusion depth or distance, whatever, is measured from the top of our last extrusion. And let's project a center mark there. Look at it straight on, get a circle. That is dimension 0.125. And finish the sketch. Look at it from an angle so we can see it. Extrusion tool, get the center part there. And this extrusion is 0.125. And there's only one other feature, and it is the hole that goes in the center there. And that hole is diameter 0.0625 and a depth of 0.25. So the depth is measured from the top, so that's where we have to sketch it. Let's use, and really you could use anything, but just the top there is fine. And we need a circle that is 0.0625, 0.0625. And to finish the sketch, look at it from an angle so we can see what's going on. Extrude, choose the center, switch it to remove, and remove a distance of 0.25. Hit OK. And that is it for wheel. Let me know if you have any questions. The recording should be up shortly.